Hello, welcome to Lockbox Lunatics. I'm Chad Kamp down here in Chandler, Arizona, along with my trusty cohort, Steve Lambert up in Washington. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
Oh, doing good. I'm extremely excited about who we've got on the podcast today. I love our special guest. We've got Adam Diaz with Lexar. He's a home builder up there in Washington. So go ahead and say hello, Adam, and give us a quick intro to yourself and a little bit of background.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Yeah, I've been an owner operator of Lexar Homes with a partner now for about 2.5, almost 3 years. Prior to that, I was actually a college professor. I taught accounting and economics
Oh,
at the
wow.
local community college. Prior to that, I did public accounting. So finance, accounting, and business is really my background. My partner is real high into the construction world, and I kind of do business ops, and I'm learning construction along the way.
Awesome.
Oh,
That's
wow,
cool,
that's
man.
interesting. Yeah.
That's interesting. So what was your favorite part about teaching in college and your least favorite part about teaching in college?
Oh, yeah. I think my favorite part was the feeling that somebody got it. So in accounting specifically, you grow up learning math, you grow up learning reading, grow up history. Accounting is a whole new subject, right? So you didn't typically take accounting courses, and it's a whole new way of thinking. And there's a moment, especially in accounting 201, where people just click and they get it. And seeing people have that click is awesome. And of course, the worst part for any professor is the grading. So that's easy, hands down.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Maybe besides pandemics.
Yeah, right, right, no doubt. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
My
Oh,
wife
that's
is
funny
still waiting
because
for it to click with me. She's an EA. She's got her bachelor's in accounting and her master's in taxation. And, we've been married 23 years, and she's like, Chad, I'm still waiting for it to click with you. I'm not
That's
sure that definitely pertains to accounting or not. I don't know if that's what she's talking about.
that's funny. Master's in taxation is a rare degree, but that is actually what my master's degree in is as
Oh,
well. Where did you get her degree?
wow.
FSU,
Okay.
Florida
Yeah, I
State.
got mine at DU
Okay.
back in 2009.
Oh,
Okay.
wow, that's cool. So we have
Yeah.
two very rare degreed
Hmm.
people in our midst. That's kind of cool, man. That's pretty awesome. I could, yeah, sometimes the accounting side of things, that black and white stuff, sometimes it's like,
Oh, yeah.
I took a philosophy class in college, and my professor's only comment to me was I had flawed logic. I
I've
think
been
that's
there.
helped
I've been
define
there.
my entire life. So,
Happens to the best of us, right? So Adam, how did you make a transition? I'm interested to learn how you made the transition from accounting to construction.
Well, believe it or not, there's a lot of accounting in construction. We're even a small builder, but we have millions of dollars flow through the business all the time, um, every month. And so it's really easy
Hmm.
to get confused and to get upside down. And if you're not, understanding your cash flow and your profitability it's easy for people in construction and home building particularly to get themselves in trouble. And so I was just originally going to be the accountant for Lexar, and after some conversations, my business partner Scott invited me to come right in and partner up with him. And that seemed like a fun opportunity, kind of transitioning from the teacher to the doer. And it's been great. I love it.
Right.
that's
And
pretty
that's
cool, man.
interesting. Yeah, that's awesome because Steve, you and I both know that a lot of agents out there don't conduct themselves from a business perspective. They
No.
don't look at the numbers, they don't look at the ROI, right? And they're just looking at what's smack dab in their face, and it's extremely paramount that they're able to go into their books, and be able to identify what's working, what's not working, where they're spending money, where they should be or shouldn't be spending money. So that's a great analogy, even, going from the accounting sector to the new build. So let me ask you this: do you handle a lot of the construction side of things, or since you came in as a partner now?
Construction meaning like project management?
Yeah.
No, they don't let me around the tools. So it's
Because he's
pretty
like, where did
rare.
this tool come from? Who bought this? And what did this cost?
Exactly,
Where's the
exactly.
receipt?
So yeah, no, most of my job is in the office. Yeah, I dabble with the sales, work with the realtors, the lenders, financiers. I do a lot of what we call capital budgeting,
Okay.
which is basically saying how much money do you have and where can you deploy it to get the most capital back, right? Um, So that's a big part of my job as far as the logistics of actually building the house. We've got a great team that of project managers that actually do the building. And again, my partner is a longtime builder, construction guy. So he would be the one if you actually have a question about, the structure of a house, he'd be the one to ask. Although I'm picking up on a lot of that stuff pretty quickly.
Oh, I bet. I
I
bet.
think it's pretty awesome actually because like you were saying, Chad, like kind of like new agents, right? You see contractors and builders get in some really weird financial situations, or they're here and then they're gone, right? And part of it is they just had a booming business and it's almost so good that they lose track of where the money's coming and going and all that. They're just buying equipment, buying tools. Before you know it, they're like, "Wow, I made a bunch, but good lord, I have a lot I owe as well, and I'm kind of upside down, right?" So I think that's a really critical point. A kind of a key piece in that. And like you said, and we see that with agents all the time. They're cranking it, and then all of a sudden they're like, "I made all this money last year, and I can't pay my taxes now." It's like, where did it all go? So I think that's awesome. So they have a really neat mix there. I've met Scott and met with Adam before, and they have a really good flow, really good process, and Adam's a good ambassador to the brand as well. So he's definitely out. He's doing the networking and doing all those things, which is really really cool. So that's fun to hear about the transition though, because I imagine that's a very different world than you dealt with before, but you still deal with a lot of different people, right? Because you have a myriad of people coming to you to build homes, so you probably get what like in terms of something interesting to me is that the approach from a house that somebody comes to you and they want to spend maybe 400,000 to up to, like, let's say $2 million, right? You run the gamut of a lot of different people, and you've had some very successful parade homes as well here in the area. um, what are some of the big requests that you get from clients, and then, like, in terms of for your builds, I guess, what are they looking for? What do they want? I mean, obviously value is a big one, right? But
Yeah, I mean, so we're really we fit the niche of like a semi-custom builder. And I really like this because we have plans that we use as starting points, but we can customize anything completely. And so really you've got kind of two main customers that you think of when it comes to building, or at least new construction. And one is saying, "Hey, I want something as cheap as possible and I want it to be new."
yeah,
Okay. And we've got what we call maybe like a production builder that fits that box.
okay,
And then you've got what we would call full custom, and that is, I want wood imported from this place and this decadent thing and very craftsman-y. And that can be very expensive, a customized plan, a plan that nobody's ever done before. Um, and that can add up really quick. A lot of times those are kind of cost plus. You get started, you don't really know where you're going to end up, but they're
yeah,
the kind of customers that money is no object, right? We fit perfectly right in the middle, and I think customers like that a lot to say, look, here's a starting point, something that you can really wrap your head around. We've got a lot of plans on our website, but we'll customize anything you want. We've got our own internal drafting and engineering department, and we want people to have exactly what they want, and we don't want them to have to pay for what they don't need. And I think that's something that people don't often think of when they're considering building new versus buying used, is that you have to find on the inventory that's available in the area that you want to build or buy something that checks all your boxes. But it's very rare that you don't also have to pay for other things that aren't that what you didn't want, right? So for example,
yeah,
maybe you wanted a 4 bedroom, but you ended up buying a 5 bedroom. And so you're paying for that fifth bedroom, even though it wasn't something you wanted. So there's all sorts of situations where we say, well, let's just take a plan and let's just build it exactly like you want it. If you want an extra bedroom or one less bedroom or taller ceilings, or a daylight basement, let's add those things in so you're getting exactly what you want without having to pay for the inefficiency of buying something used.
that makes a lot of sense because, like you
Right.
said, you're actually able to put those costs towards something that benefits your lifestyle, that really does fit what you want to do. Like you said,
Yeah.
that fifth bedroom, it is square footage, and there's a price associated to that, right? So there's a cost to that where maybe you're saying, wow, I really want some more room. Maybe we entertain a lot, and I'd like to see a little bit bigger kitchen, or like you said, the taller ceilings, right? Being able to kind
Yeah.
of customize it that way. Yeah, that's awesome.
So
Yeah.
we really, yeah, we are a full custom builder, but like I said, we're close to the production builder price. We can't totally compete with a straight up production builder. But we're going to give you a custom experience at a much closer to a production built price. And I think that's really where we shine as a company.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So, you deal with a lot of different people, and obviously that's one of your customers. Another one of your customers is agents, right? And so, how do you interact, or how does Lexar? How do you interact with agents? How does that typically work for you?
Yeah, we we love real estate agents. We understand that, markets are complex and things have a lot of moving pieces. And realtors, real estate agents are the ones that bring all those things together and connect the dots, right? And so we love working with realtors because they're well networked, right? They know other realtors, they know people that have buildings, they have land, they have connections. And we do have an internal guy that does kind of the design process. So typically what happens is the realtor ends up being the advocate for the buyer, right? The realtor is the one that the buyer knows has their best interest at heart. So they're going to come alongside the buyer through the whole process and kind of be that almost like an attorney would be when you're writing up a contract,
Sure.
right? I know you guys are not attorneys and you get nervous when you even start using that analogy, right? But in a lot of ways, right, an attorney, you think of an attorney is supposed to be its an attorney is supposed to be its neutral third party. That's kind of where the realtor comes in to say, okay, here's Lexar. Maybe hopefully we have a relationship with Lexar. We understand who you are and what you do. But really, at the end of the day, you're kind of that extra layer of protection for the buyer to be able to evaluate what we're offering, um, and to help the customer compare that even to what's out there on the market. And we think always show that there's actually a lot of value in building new as long as you're willing to be patient. Because the big difference is you buy a used house, you can have it in 30 days. You buy, you build a new house, it's going to be 6 months, right? By the time you get through permitting and everything else. Um, and so the realtor is a big advocate, I think, for the customer and just walking alongside them and helping them understand the process and the value. The other thing that I think realtors really shine in, especially in this market, is asking the customer first, how long do you want to live in this house? Because if this is a house you want to die in, build it however you want. And then
Yeah.
you're just basically a cheerleader, right? You want to do something kooky, go for it. More power to you. But if you're the realtor and you're talking to your customer and like, well, I probably will live in this for 7 more years, then my kids are going to graduate, and then we want to downsize. Okay, 7 years in real estate is not a long time, and we need to build this thing so it will have some good resale value.
Right.
Yes.
Now, we as builders will give you our opinion, but I think the realtors are truly the most equipped and most qualified people to know what's selling, what's popular, what's not. For that part of town, don't build a 5 bedroom. Don't make it the most expensive. In this part of town, it needs to be 3 bedroom. It's got to have a butler's pantry. Basements kill here. I mean, in this part of town, it's got to have a garage, an RV bay, or else, you're gonna lose out on, you're gonna have a really hard time selling this, right? So the realtors are the ones that are gonna say, okay, yes, it's a custom build, so design it the way you want it, but also think about the fact that you're not going to live in this forever, and you're going to come back to me and ask me to sell it. And I
Mhm.
don't want to be in a position where I have to tell you, well, you built a crazy house, and so we're going to have to drop the price by 200 grand, right?
Yeah. Those are great
And
points. Yeah.
I would much rather have the realtor saying that than the builder, right? Because the
Yeah,
realtor
exactly,
can
right?
come in and say, "Oh, you know what? That's a bad idea. Don't do it that way," right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and we
The
love
re
realtors for that purpose.
Yeah, and in the real world, we look at things a little bit different. You're absolutely 100% correct. We're always looking at a resale because I tell my folks, look, I'm presuming you're going to come to me and I'm going to try and troubleshoot any issues on the front end from selling a home. Just closed a house probably 2 months ago with a couple that didn't buy with us. They bought new build and they backed right up against to a main drag. And so when they brought us in to list the home, they were expecting to have the same valuation as an interior lot. And the reality of it is where it was located, there's a lot of traffic right out the back, off the backyard. And that was a tough conversation for us to have, but we had to have it. We got their household. But you're absolutely correct on that front. So let me ask you this, transitioning from a realtor protecting and advocating for a buyer, as you as a builder, do you have a Salesforce team, or do you go out and find, independent agents to market your home, your properties? Or are you strictly, because when I say by that is if you're building a spec home, do you do a lot of spec building to where you'd have to bring an agent involved in the back end to
At
sell
this
it?
point, we don't do a lot of spec building as a company. We do
Okay.
2 or 3 houses a year max. Most
Okay.
of what we do is custom. So we're building about 30 houses custom a year. So about 90% custom, 10% spec.
Okay.
Um, but that being said, there's a lot of room for realtors to get in on the custom builds. It's not just specs. We like to call it the triple commission trifecta, right? And the reality is that a lot of realtors are hesitant to work with us because the timeline is stretched out. Everybody would rather be paid today than 6 months from now. That's just the reality of life, right? But if you can build the relationship with the buyers that truly want to build, you're going to end up selling their house, buying them dirt, which again is a smaller commission, but a commission nonetheless, and then get the commission on the build, right? So that's 3 commissions if you're working with us. And we will do all of the legwork with our quote unquote internal team for a lot of the design process. So it's not as if you're going through and having to design the house. You're just kind of an advocate with them, as involved or not involved as you want to be, but hopefully getting 3 commissions through the process of 6 to 9 months. The realtors that we really love working with are realtors that know dirt, because it's very common that somebody says, I want to build a house, but I don't have land yet, right? And so if a realtor can go help us find the land that will fit the house, then they can get the land commission and then the build commission. And we do pay a 2.5% commission. I don't know if that's good or not, but we'll pay 2.5% commission on the build of the house. So if you can help get the land and help get the house and you're willing to be patient, then pushing people that actually want to build to that is really, really helpful for us. So we like to work with lots of realtors as far as bringing us builds. And then we do have an internal guy but he's not a realtor. He's not licensed. He doesn't do MLS, anything. He's really more of he's really a home consultant, right? When you come to us, he knows about wells and septics and design, and he knows what it's going to take to move a wall, and he interfaces with the drafting and engineering department and all those sorts of things. So he's not a realtor, right? We still need the realtors to bring us the leads.
Right.
Yeah, I love how you, like you said, the attorney role, right? We're like kind of like a trusted guide, right? That's our job, is to, like you said, depending on what their life goals are. And I love that you point that out, because a lot of people don't think about that when they're building a home. They just
Mhm.
want to go and do all the bells and whistles and go crazy on it. And you're like, well, where are you at in your career right now? Where does your career potentially take you? Where are the major players within that? Does that mean you're staying in the area, or maybe you're moving cross country and things like that? So being realistic with that build, so that, like you said, when they come back to you 3 years from now and they're saying, "Hey, Steve, I need you to sell this for 200,000 more than I paid," and I'm like, "Well, time out. I can do a lot of things. I'm not a miracle worker. I like to
Yeah.
try, but can't do that, right?" I love the fact too that you have about 30 houses a year that you sell, that you work on, that are these custom builds. So you're working with a lot of different agents. And so this brings up kind of the question is, what are some of the favorite attributes or things that you see in agents that you really enjoy working with, that make that process not only easier for their clients, but for you as well, so that it's kind of seamless all the way through? What are maybe your top 2 or 3? Because we have a lot of agents that are maybe newer, and some tenured agents that kind of watch and listen in on what we're doing, and maybe they're curious on some of the things they could be doing to maybe make them more appealing to work with a builder, or when they do work with a builder, maybe some things they should be aware of that would make it easier.
Yeah, great question. So a couple of things come to mind, because I'm sure realtors probably do want to get in good with a builder or two, right? I mean, that's probably a goal for every realtor. Here's some of the quick tips to get in. If you did a couple of these things and did them well, you'd be our best friend quick, right? So the first thing, and I'm going to say it again because I already mentioned it, but being the expert on land is super, super important. And to be completely honest, a lot of realtors don't want to touch it because for 2 reasons. One, the commission's smaller. I get it. You sell a $700,000 house versus a $250,000 lot, the commission's a third, right? So I get why it feels less appealing. What you got to remember is then there's a $1.2 million house attached to it
Right.
after you build the trust with the land.
Yeah, they need to
Right?
keep the long play. They need to keep
You
that the
got to
bigger.
keep the
It's
long
got to be
play.
the bigger
So
picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
be the realtor that knows every piece of land for sale and every piece of land that's coming for sale through relationships with developers.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you go through and just pick the top 20 developers in the Tri-Cities or wherever you are in Arizona, you can figure out if you have a good relationship with them, the developers want to sell their land too. They want to sell
Yeah.
their lots. So
Yeah.
they're going to tell you, hey, Steve, I've got 12 lots coming up on blah 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 street in the next 6 months. You got any leads? That's when you turn around and call me, the builder, and say, hey, Joe over there with Joe's development, he's got 12 lots coming up. And it's those types of connections, the off-market lots, whether it's developments that haven't come online or stuff that might be developed, papered lots, or even just being able to go find dirt that's off market. I mean, you will be a builder's best friend if you become the dirt expert, right? And again, lower commissions, but you got to take the commissions that come with the build. This
100%.
the second piece is somebody that understands the value of build and will advocate for that for the client. And this is where you have to put a little bit of your self-interest aside because we are all motivated by incentives. And so the natural incentive for every realtor is to say, I'd rather sell a used house than a new house than a new build because I get paid now rather than 18 months or 6 months, right? I'd rather be paid now than play the long game. And if a builder sends a client or makes a suggestion to a realtor and they were pretty interested in building, but then the realtor sells them a used house right away, that burns a bridge pretty quick. Now, the realtor needs to do what's best for the customer, and we want what's best for the customer too. If a used is truly the best option, that's what we want for the person. But we think there's a lot of value in building new, both in the equity that you gain from the build, in the lower maintenance cost, in the new efficiency, all the things that come with a new house. And so, as a realtor, if you can understand that and advocate for that at least equally to buying used, we love that because we don't want people just saying, "Okay, we'll just go buy this. We'll just go find you a used house that meets your needs," because we're trying to sell new houses, right? We're trying to build houses. So and again, we understand you guys are making money too. So you're going to sell new houses, you're going to sell used houses. But if we start seeing a realtor that all they ever do is take customers that are, at least a little bit interested in building and push them to used houses, that burns bridges with builders really fast. Um, and so
Well, I think like
having a
you said,
realtor that understands the talking points and says, this is why you might want to consider building new. And if it's a good fit, we'll help you walk down the path. And if it's not a good fit, fine. Here's these other 10 houses. I'm happy to go show them to you. Right. So
yeah.
be a dirt person, understand the value in building. Um, and you're on our good side. Um,
I love that you bring that up because like it's really understanding your client's needs too, because you may have a client that desires a resale house, right? They might be sitting there saying, hey, I want a used house. I need to move things quick. I'm in an apartment right now. But if I'm talking to them and I hear busy schedule, I maybe hear that, hey, I don't like to do a lot of things on my own, right? Like I'm not a good DIYer kind of thing, giving me kind of key indicators that like, hey, so the houses that you're looking at, we're going to likely have some maintenance issues. You're going to have to bring in contractors. You have a really busy work schedule. You're saying your budget maybe is fairly tight on this. We can get you into a newer build. Your acquisition cost may be the same, maybe a touch more, but I'm talking warranties on the home. I'm talking warranties on the equipment. I'm talking all brand new things. I'm talking everything, a level of customer service post sale that you're not going to see because that person you bought the house from, they're not going to come back to you and say, "Oh yeah, here's the idiosyncrasies of the house," and or "Thank God we got rid of that because the every winter when things whatever we get, the dishwasher likes to leak on the floor without, we don't know why, but it does." And so, random things, right?
yeah.
And so understanding, like you said, your clients as well as like I love the land expert. You're so right on that, and understanding the value of the build, but tying that together with your clients' needs where they might want this, but like I said, based upon their personal preferences or how they are as a person, a resale home may be a horrible decision for them. Maybe they love to travel and just want to lock it and leave it. Let's get you a new home because everything is covered. And the energy efficiencies. People don't think about They look at acquisition costs. They don't always look at costs for maintenance and upkeep, right? And so I love that you bring that up because codes today are very different than they were 20 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%. And honestly, with our team especially, you don't need to be an expert in land, or a lot of realtors get nervous because like, well, I don't know anything about septics or wells or setbacks or zoning or blah, all the things that go with it, and that intimidates, I think, some realtors, and then they just shy away. What I would say to that guy is, if you want to get in with builders, at least with us, we'll come out and do site visits all day long for free. So you have a customer, they're thinking about buying a piece of land, but they don't know if it's a good deal. We just sent Scott personally, my business partner, went out and looked at a piece of land, ended up telling them, don't buy this piece of land, keep looking, right? Because of XYZ reasons. So we're totally willing to do that. We've got their best interest in mind. We'll help you, the realtor, look at the land with the customer, and you'll be educated along the way. You do that 2 or 3 times, and you'll know more than 95% of realtors. You do it 10 times, you're an expert, right?
Okay.
And we'll come do it every single time with any customer you have, because we're trying to build the relationship too and build trust. And why not? Why not be the land guy and bring people out? We'll do that for free.
Right. No, that's some great advice and some good talking points and some things for agents to consider. We want to be considerate of your time, Adam. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come and sit with us for a little bit. We're kind of coming to the time's end. For those that have viewed this, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and share. If you have any suggestions on what we may, topics that you want to hear in the future, drop those in the comment section as well. And Adam, I really appreciate the time you've given us. You gave us some great things to consider for agents that are trying to build relationships with builders. And we wish you the best up there in Washington. And again, thanks everyone for paying attention and watching. We'll catch you next week.